there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel and welcome to Series 12 of Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches. We are using exclusive sketches all month long, and today's sketch is brought to you by Brandy Jo. And I like this sketch, but I'm not a huge fan of diagonal for whatever reason. I don't do it very often, so I decided to stick with going straight across the page instead of doing a diagonal. I know I wanted to use this wood grain. I have a picture of the oldest that I take care of, and this was a few years ago, or a couple years ago, when she was smaller, and I had her every day before she started school. And so I just started with a wood grain because in the photos she is in a tree. She's kind of climbing around in the base of the tree. And I chose that really warm wood grain there because it kind of mimics the warmer or the darker tones in that tree. And then I chose a blue because she's got some blue jeans on, and her sweatshirt is gray, but it veers towards blue because of the shadows. And so I thought that would be a good choice. Also, her favorite color right now is blue, so you know what? Why not go for it? I did tear my pages just like the inspiration piece. Now, I'm not sure if Brandy Jo intended for the inside to be torn or if the outside papers are were to be torn, but I guess it all depends on how you really want to layer things up. And I wasn't really sure at first if I wanted to tuck things in to have them coming out from behind the white, or if I wanted them coming out towards the center from behind the wood grain. But ultimately I decided that I would tuck things in behind the blue and the white rather than having the wood grain as my top layer and tucking things in under it. And I really like the way that this came out. I just roughed up the edges of that white paper. It was just out of my scrap bin, and cut it down the middle and split it there, just so that I would have a nice white edge and have a place to tuck some things in. Now I am kind of tearing out and trimming out a little bit of a notch on the upper right and the lower left of this blue strip, so that I can tuck some things in behind. I really wanted to use that blue faux like lace border, and that is from Spectrum Sherbet from 49 in Market. But I also wanted to pair it with the more rugged edge of this kind of a burlap trim. It's not really burlap, but it kind of has that burlappy feel to it. So that's a little bit more, one's more elegant, one's more kind of rustic, and I like the marriage of the two different looks. So that's kind of what I was going for. And then I have a bunch of these leaves from the 49 in Market Spectrum Sherbet collection. I don't have very many blue flowers left. I just have 2 or 3 little tiny pieces of floral, and then a couple of leaves that are kind of a more towards the teal side. So I'm going to pull those out and use those as well to create a couple of little leafy clusters with a couple of flowers in them. I thought I had used almost all of those blue flowers, but I ended up having just a couple more, and now I think I am pretty much out. I do have pink flowers left, but I don't have any of the blues. And I'm liking the way that this is looking. I'm going to go ahead and tuck that lacy piece in as well. I'm just going to use a little liquid glue to hold it down, and then I'm using my ATG to hold down this fiber. I went with a strip of ATG across the white, and then I adhered it down, and I wasn't sure that was going to hold real well, so I put another layer of ATG on top of that fiber to kind of sandwich it in between the wood paper and the white paper. And I think that's going to hold pretty well. And here I really like the way that this blue is looking, so I'm going to go ahead and tear that off, or actually I'm going to trim it with my scissors, and then I'm just going to use a little bit of glue to tack it down. Not feeling like I really need to put a lot of glue there because it is tucked in, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere once it's in a page protector, but just tacking it in on the edges of it seems to work fine. So I'm liking how that's going, and as you can tell already, I'm going with a bit of a diagonal design, which is actually what Brandy Jo has in this particular sketch. She's got the florals going from top right to bottom left, and although her papers are more on a diagonal, I think it still works because you still get this diagonal effect and it looks good. So I'm just tucking in some leaves here. Some of the leaves I will put a little bit of foam, and the foam is it's just fun foam from Walmart. So it's adhesive on one side, and then I use a little liquid adhesive to adhere the non-adhesive portion of the foam to the background of my layout. I'm going to use some green foam, just, you know, I have green, I might as well use something that matches. And I think that works really good to add a little bit of dimension to this particular layout. Now the base of all the leaves are tacked down with some glue, but the tips of them have a little bit of that foam just to pop them up. And I'm going to put several different types of leaves in to make it look really like there's quite a bit of foliage, and a lot of different textures, which I really like. While I work on that, I want to remind you there is a playlist down below that you can go click on and get all of the inspiration so far for 30 Days of Sketches this month. There are a lot of people playing along, and there's a ton of inspiration for each one of the sketches. So go and check that out. And don't forget to check out what Christy's doing over on her channel. She's sharing some different things over on her channel, so you're going to want to take a look at that. Her links should be also in that playlist. But if you want to look her up, it's Christy's Beautiful Life. And I think you'll find some cool stuff there as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep working on making my clusters. The park that we are at is quite a large park. It's got a playground, but it's also got some trails. It's a county park. There's a pond with ducks and different kinds of birds that hang out there, and then some big trees that, you know, obviously trees you can climb in because she's climbing in them. And she's not really high up. She's just at the base of the tree. But it's got beautiful trees and all kinds of different things. And when she was smaller, we used to go there a lot, especially during COVID, because there weren't a lot of places that you could go otherwise. And so we spent a lot of time there. I really like the addition of these leaves that are more towards the teal. It brings in some depth of color with that kind of mirrors her jeans and such. And so I kind of like that. I mean, her jeans aren't super teal, but it brings in that depth that the jeans have. And then adding a few other little flowers here. Like I said, I don't have a lot of them, but the 3 little ones that I have that are going to go on one side and then a couple on the other side, just to bring in some more color. I am keeping this pretty simple. I will also be adding some sequins, but just a few. And I really like the way that those add a little bit of sparkle. And the sequins kind of go from, they're iridescent, and they go from like a blue look to kind of a brownish look to them. They're really cool. They just kind of make it nice and sparkly. But I don't add a lot. I just add a few just to add a little bit of a touch. The edge distressor that you see to the bottom right hand side there, in case you're interested in that, what I use that to rough up all of my papers there. That is from Some Assemblage Required. And it is amazing. It's got several different slots there for the blade, so you can use any of those slots, and it stays really sharp. And it's kind of chunky, so it's really easy to hold onto, which I really like, because the other one I had was like just a tiny bit bigger than a quarter, and it was a really hard piece to hang on to. I have these really old thickers in my stash. I still have a ton of thickers. I do use my dies to create a lot of my titles, but today I'm using these thickers. I'm trying to work through a bunch of those in my stash and get them on the page and out of my stash so I can you know, free up some space and get them used. But these are old. They're from Amy Tangerine, and they are kind of plasticky. I don't know exactly what they're made out of, but I am going to use a little liquid glue on the back of my hand to go ahead and adhere these down as soon as I figure out the placement of them. I also don't mind mixing white and cream. I treat the cream just like it's any other color as long as it's in a few different places. I think it looks fine. And since I've got the browns and the, you know, the added natural texture, I think it works fine. And I really like the way that it ends up looking. So I hadn't used very many of these thickers, and I had all the letters that I needed, so I thought I'd go ahead and use them. My title is just a walk on the wild side because she's kind of outdoors and, you know, doing something a little different and climbing in trees and being a little daring for, I think she was probably about 3 in this particular photo, and or these photos. And so I thought that was really kind of cool. So that is my title. I'm not going to have a huge spot for journaling. Any journaling will just be added to the background of the layout. Probably just right underneath where it says the wild side, because it's just going to be a couple of lines. And so I think that's going to work out just fine. If I need to do any more, I can just write it on the brown wood grain background, and I think that'll work also. Using a white pen. So I am using a crystal katana tool to adhere or to pick up those sequins so I can adhere them down to my layout. I picked that tool up from Hobby Lobby back when they had 40% off coupons, and I find that it works really, really well. So I'm pretty happy with that. That tool. And then I'm just adding a little bit of white mist or splatter, and that is from Dina Wakley. It's just the white media gloss and a little bit of gold Heidi Swapp color shine to finish it off. Now the sequins that I used were called Ice Castle, and those were from Spiegelmom scraps. And that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. It takes me a few days to respond, but I do respond to all my messages. And if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up button, I would love that. And if you're not already subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel too, and hit the bell if you want notifications each time I release a new video, which this month seems to be every day. I'll see you again tomorrow, and have a great day. Bye-bye.